NBA trade deadline is 3 p.m. today, and I, for one, could not be more delighted that Kevin Durant will not be a Boston Celtic, Wiggy.
Which makes no sense to me. I don't get
Really?
it. Why you would want a guy that would instantly, dramatically change your chances at winning a championship.
I think he would instantly, dramatically change your chemistry in the locker room, and I am not down for it. So
Are we still going down this chemistry road,
Yes,
huh?
we are. Yes, we are.
Well, I will quote the great Maria from Watertown. The Bruins have had the best chemistry for over the past, 10, 11, 12, 13 years. How's that done them?
Well, but that you tell me all the time that was a coaching thing. It wasn't a personnel thing. So you have suggested countless times that the reason the Bruins' fortunes changed was because they made a coaching change.
Yeah, but I felt the same way even when Claude Julien was the coach. So when they went from Julien, I didn't like Julien as a coach, and the chemistry was good with him, and then they went to Cassidy. So the whole chemistry thing, and I think Milbury kind of talked about it a little bit when he said, if you can get an elite player, then you roll those dice.
Okay, so the Suns 5th in the Western Conference right now.
Yep.
Booker seems to be back healthy.
Yep.
Now they add KD.
With Chris Paul.
What's a disappointment by the end of the season if they don't?
By his logic,
right?
Over the last 2 days, they're going to win the championship.
All right, well, you
because they added Kevin Durant.
Well,
That's your logic.
You don't believe me? Why don't you ask the betting expert himself, Shime?
Okay.
I guarantee you the odds change for the Suns winning a championship prior to KD getting there and after him getting there.
But for you, if they don't win a championship, is it?
But do you get my?
Yes, no. I'm gonna.
right.
We'll ask Shine, but I'm asking you, if they don't win a championship, is it a disappointment?
Maybe not for the Suns because maybe they're not a championship pre KD. They were a championship contender. The Celtics pre Kevin Durant are a championship contender. They made it to the finals last year. So the expectations when you add a KD is you win a championship. The Suns weren't in the finals last year. So KD doesn't instantly put them over that hump.
But we could say the Suns are a talented team.
Yeah, they are much. And that's why I said ask the betting guy. The people in Vegas. Their odds of winning, I bet you, went up drastically when they added Kevin Durant.
Yeah, they did. So they went from plus 1,300 prior to Durant to up to plus 460 now with Durant.
There you go.
The real question is, did the Celtics odds go down? Were they more of a favorite before?
Nope, they are even more of a favorite today than they were yesterday.
So then what are we talking about, Wiggy?
Well, why do you think they're probably more of a favorite? Because
you
KD,
just said we're using these numbers as a way to gauge the impact of Kevin Durant.
Right.
The Celtics are closer to a title without Durant than they were before, according to the people who are paid to set odds on who should win or lose.
If Durant was here, I'll ask the betting expert again because your question is stupid. If Durant was,
How is it stupid?
If Durant was,
it's the whole conversation.
No, if Durant was with the Celtics, Shime, do you believe the Celtics odds would have went up or down?
They would have minimally gone up.
All right, there you go.
There's not very much room that they can go up at this point.
But they would have went up, right? They would have better odds.
They were plus 300. They probably would have been plus 250.
This is Kyle from Narragansett. What's up, Kyle?
Hey, guys. 2 points, so I'll try to be quick. Curtis, I agree with you on everything. The only thing that was bothering me is Brady beat Mahomes in the 2018 championship, and then he beat him in the Super Bowl. So I don't understand how you can root for Kansas over Philadelphia. Philly beat us in the Super Bowl. So
I'm not rooting for Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
I'm sorry, rooting for Philly.
Oh, it's just because I'm protective of one of my family members and Tom Brady, so I just am really supportive of him and all that he does, and I hate anybody that's trying to take him.
Philly beat us. That's why I want.
Bill Belichick beat us in that Super Bowl, not Philly.
It was Philly special that beat us.
All right, fair enough. The second point is I don't really have a side on Durant or Jaylen Brown. I'm not a Celtics fan. I'm a Warriors fan. Our season's gone, so whatever. But the reason I do think that they should have made the trade is because it's more for defense. Now Phoenix gets Durant, and they didn't even have to give up Chris Paul, so now they got a big 4 instead of just a big 3. So just want to hear you guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I know. Wiggy says that Brad Stevens has to do something today by 3 p.m.
Don't you need a big?
You're talking about health. I mean,
yeah.
I think they're going to end up, these guys, it's the NBA. I think when it comes to the playoffs, that those guys, Al Horford, Robert Williams, you'll be able to count on them in the playoffs.
Could you count on Robert Williams last year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. You think he's going to go back-to-back seasons and be unavailable?
He was hurt last year.
I think the bigger issue is when it comes to Jaylen Brown, does he come out of this unscathed, or is he disgruntled and upset that his name has come up again when it comes to trade talks?
I bet he's disgruntled.
I bet he's not.
How could he not be?
Right.
Because if you listen to what Brad Stevens said the first go around, he said he was in constant communication with Jaylen
So
Brown.
why'd he tweet out shaking my head?
Right.
That was the first time, though. I don't know. This all could be Wiggy and Stephen A. Smith when it comes to this go around with Kevin Durant.
I had nothing to do with me.
Making stuff up. I
ain't making it up.
Burping it into the ether, as Tommy Curran.
I burped my thing into the ether.
Did Wiggy say he had a house in Connecticut? No.
Yeah. I burped my thing into the ether. I wanted him to go after KD. Stephen A. Smith said he's hearing that the Boston Celtics are inquiring, and he's way more
Probably
pleasant.
from the Nets.
So Wick Grosbeck on this show at the start of the season, Chime, if you could, are you suggesting we asked Wick about Jaylen Brown being in trade talks when it came to Kevin Durant, I think specifically. Do you have that? And you're saying that he was being disingenuous.
I don't usually talk about trade stuff or rumors that often agents put in the paper or whatever, but there are lots of people that type lots of things on keyboards, and some of it's true and some of it isn't. But that was never going anywhere. I mean, that was like never going anywhere. It was not even close. Nothing. We're good with Jaylen and just been having great talks with him all fall.
Wait, that makes my point.
Right.
That was never close. But that means there were conversations.
Right.
No, he said it was never going anywhere.
Well, what is right? You either could say we never discussed a trade with him, or you could say the trade talks never really went anywhere, meaning he was part of trade talks.
Right. So do you believe?
But he didn't say nobody else was.
So
Do you think Jason Tatum was part of trade talks?
No, I don't think Jason
Right.
Tatum, but was Marcus Smart.
Everybody else is on the table.
Right.
Tatum is the only untouchable piece.
right. So all the rumors out there about these trade talks with Jaylen Brown, even as recent as a couple of days ago, you don't believe the Celtics picked up the phone and called Brooklyn to have a conversation about Brown and Tatum.
Oh, maybe they called and said, "What would you want in return for KD?"
But that's all. That's all we need.
But I don't think the Celtics leaked it to Stephen A. Smith. That's
But
the
I don't-
dumbest move of all time when you've got a superstar on your team and Jaylen Brown and you're messing with his head if this
They
gets
didn't
leaked.
leak it to
we're,
him.
we're not
No,
saying.
I think Brooklyn probably leaked
Yes.
it to
Yeah,
Stephen
so, but
A. Smith
even-
to get the value up.
Right, but even if
with
the
Suns.
but you're missing the point. Even if who cares who leaked it? The fact is, Jaylen Brown knows that the Celtics are talking to people about potentially trading him. How do you not find that to be?
Maybe it didn't work because Brad Stevens said, "We're not giving up Jaylen."
Let me ask you this, Courtney.
Okay.
If you heard that Greg was talking to another female co-host somewhere else,
Pebbles.
Pebbles,
Yep.
in the summer, and then another time, you don't think that would make you disgruntled as an employee?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I would
So
have to have
how-
a serious talk with
Right,
Greg.
so how can you say Jaylen Brown is not disgruntled when his name is being thrown all over the place in trade talks? It seems like the beginning of the season and just recently 2 days ago. The guy is upset. I would be upset. It's human nature when you know that the people you work for are looking to replace you.
Especially when you know that your colleague has the power to shut any trade possibilities down and elects not to.
I choose.
But meaning Jason Tatum.
Yes.
Correct.
I choose.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, Curtis. I do think that they run everything by Jason Tatum
And Deuce.
and Deuce, and maybe Jason Tatum is not on board with Jaylen Brown being the guy, the max guy, going forward here because he thinks he can get somebody else.
And Wiggy's made this point early on. Now the clock is on them winning a title either this year or next. That means the Celtics. But more importantly, if they are unable to sign Jaylen Brown to an extension and Durant helps the Suns, then in hindsight, you're going to say that was a pretty big blunder because you only got an extra year and a half out of Brown before losing him anyway.
Right. And so how would you feel? And then to come to find out, Greg wasn't doing anything about said person. So, of course, you'd be disgruntled.
I choose to believe Brad Stevens when he says that it's all about open communication. and that he talks to Jaylen Brown the entire time.
Right.
And if Brad Stevens is saying, hey, Jaylen, of course your name's going to come up when we're talking about these superstars because you're a superstar. What? I don't know why you're
So if Greg said that to you, hey, Courtney, of course your name's coming up because you're a superstar, but Pebbles is also a superstar.
yeah, I'd be
It
like, you
wouldn't
think
bother
I'm a
you?
superstar?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I mean, you're built a lot differently than I am, Courtney, because
True.
I know I would be upset if they were kept talking about me as a guy that they were looking to trade. Because if you really love me that much, why are you even looking to trade me?
Well, to be clear, the difference between Courtney and Pebbles is leap years.
Leap years ahead of anybody else.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I
Leap
completely
years.
agree
Leap
with that.
years.
Put it on a
Leap years
T-shirt.
apart.
Leap
Right.
years is
Leap
going to be
years
the new
apart.
hot thing to say.
It's fetch.
This is Tim from Natick. What's up, Tim?
Good morning, everybody.
What's up?
You know, it is possible for two things to be true. I mean, another team could reach out to the Celtics. It might not be the Celtics looking to trade Brown. It could be, hey, we want someone, we want Brown, are you interested? And them saying no, and that other team being the one to leak something so as to cause some kind of, maybe they want Brown badly, so they cause a little rift that might not be there. I mean, I don't think the Celtics are actively going to say, hey, we want KD, take Brown. I think it's the other way around.
Yeah.
The Celtics are the number one team right now. They're looking at other teams are saying maybe they're a piece away. Let's see if we can't shake Brown free. It doesn't have to be the Celtics doing it. I mean, so I think what could be honestly answering the truth. Like someone calls and says we want Brown. I'm like, technically that's them talking about it. And he's like, nope, that's a non-starter.
Yeah.
This was from Woj that the Celtics were joint trade talks and putting together a proposal that would get Kevin Durant here. So it wasn't like, and this was back in June and July, and this is Woj, a guy who's plugged in, and there was a package that the Celtics gave Brown, Derek White, and draft picks, and Brooklyn said, no, we want Marcus Smart. So the Celtics weren't just picking up the phone and going, Brooklyn, we're not trading them. We know you're calling. They were actively saying, hey, here's a package we'll put together for Brown. So they were out there saying, we're willing to give you him.
Yeah, and Shams, I'm reading from the same timeline over the summer. The Celtics were offering the Nets this deal for Durant, which makes sense now. The Nets, after trading Kyrie, are doing a fire sale that they may try to reignite talks with a team that started them over the summer. Does that sound plausible?
Yeah. And what?
No, Greg and Courtney, does that sound plausible?
Yeah.
So then, of course, maybe it was the Nets who tried to get Stephen A. to drum up conversation about
Yeah.
it, but the Celtics began the talks over the summer.